Hi everyone, my name is Ken, and today I will share with you on a session called Organize Your Presentation. In fact, I have shared with you previously in the previous session about the four ways to actually structure your presentation. The objective of this particular session is not to elaborate further on these four ways to structure your presentation, but rather this is to inform you how you can actually start and end your presentation with a bang. There are certain things that you should do and there are certain things that you shouldn't do. So in this particular session, I will address these. So are you suffering from what I call a CMD? Do you know what is a CMD? It is called a chronic mental block. So what is the sign and symptoms of what I call a chronic mental block? Whenever we are asked to prepare a presentation to a board of directors, to our senior managers, to our different department, and so on and so forth, and most presenters face these questions. They say, I do not know where to start, or they don't know how to start, or maybe I'll prepare it tomorrow. Because they do not know where to start, they say, okay, let's prepare it tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, they'll say prepare it the next day, tomorrow, and until the end, the day before their presentation, they really have to put pen to paper and finally write that speech. And my answer to you is, it doesn't have to be this way. What if I couldn't remember my point? Do you ask this question to yourself? What if you couldn't remember your point? So this is what I call suffering from a mental block. Does it really take days, weeks, and months to actually prepare the presentation? In this session, I will show you it doesn't really take so long if you have all your idea in one place. And it is actually really simple if you really know how to do it. Okay. So begin with the end in mind. This phrase is coined by the well-known guru called the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. We've really said this really true. He says, begin with the end in mind. So we have gone through, there are 4 fundamental of speakings. This is when I first started. It's called to inform, to entertain, to persuade, and to inspire. In fact, there are 7 levels of fundamentals of presentation. You can go and watch the video of the 7 levels. But basically, in any basic presentation, these are the 4 objectives. So we want to know exactly what are we trying to do in a particular session. Are we trying to inform an audience about something? Are we trying to entertain them? Are we trying to persuade them? Or are we trying to inspire them? So the point is, you must write down your objective and be able to write it down in the back of a card. Which means, for me, this particular presentation is to inspire you to deliver powerful presentation using a compelling opening and closing. And that's exactly what this slides is going to talk about, or this particular session will cover. So basically, you have to do this. What is your objective? To inform, to entertain, or to persuade, or both. Or, my objective of this presentation is to persuade and entertain my audience so that they can deliver a powerful presentation. That's a general purpose. The specific purpose is using a compelling opening and closing in the presentation. So you must be very clear, because if your sentence is if your sentence if your sentence couldn't be written in a short and precise manner, then you don't have your objective clear enough. Okay, you have to have an objective clear enough. This, I believe, is taught by one of the world champion of public speaking. I think it's Craig Ballantyne, who actually come up with this idea. If you don't have your objective clear enough at the back of a business card, you couldn't write that objective at the back of your business card, then you do not have an objective. Or you couldn't write a storyline, the entire story that encompass your entire presentation in the back of a business card, then you don't have a clarity of the objective or the stories that you are going to tell to the audience. Okay, have you ever heard of these openings? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now start your presentation with good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here. Thanks, the organizer. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? I'm waiting for a response. Today, I'm going to talk about It's nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize for being late. The traffic is very bad today. I haven't really prepared anything. This one. How many of you have actually done this? I haven't really prepared anything. Or I don't know why I have been asked to speak, but I want to share with you this thing. Before I begin, I would like to these are all the things that is actually what I call fillers. What I call fillers before I begin. If you want to begin your speech, you begin your speech. Do not need to mention all this. All these are what I call fillers. Fillers for your opening. In order to have a powerful presentation, avoid generic, apologetic, and lengthy. The problem with these openings are they are very generic. Everyone start with there's some sort of presentation like this. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So you want to have an impactful presentation, you have to start differently, and you have to do something that is beyond normal. So 3 ways to grab your audience attention in the opening. The first, start with a story. Start with your questions. And your questions must be the questions that solicit response. For example, a framing question. I have coined this thing called the 3 framing questions to ask your audience that would actually engage your audience, encourage them to respond through raising their hands, and also hopefully be able to create some laughter as well. If you haven't watched the 7 steps to craft a presentation, you should watch that. I covered the framing questions there. But one way to start is actually really to start with questions. And it must be the question that is relevant and lead to your topic. For example, if you're talking about something about recycling, reduce, reuse, and recycle, then you want to ask, can I ask you a question, just by a show of hand, how many of you here, I will start something like this, just by a show of hand, how many of you here throw I don't know, this how many of you here throw rubbish? Yes, everyone asks. How many of you recycle? And then lesser hands. And how many of you here would not raise your hand no matter what I say? Then there will be a laughter, something like this. I just think off the cuff, but I'm sure you can refine it and make it better. The other thing is story. Go right into your stories. There are 5 C's of storytelling and build suspense. And how do you do that? I will cover the 5 C's of storytelling in the storytelling session. But basically, this is what you do. You can either begin with a dialogue. For example, when I come out on stage, I would say, "Hey, mom, can I ask you a quick question?" My mom turned back to me, and I looked my mom in the eyes, and my mom tell me something I will never forget for the rest of my life. And then I'll move on. That is the opening. Or I can say it was 7:45 on a Thursday morning. I jump out of bed and into my shoes. I stroll right to the lake. And in front of me, I saw a big, gigantic man walking towards me. He has a fierce eyes, and so on and so forth. I built suspense. I told you so many things about the time, date, day, location of an action, but I didn't tell you exactly what I going to say. So I move on that stories and then go on to the main point. The second thing is to use the visual. So one of the things is I'm very excited. I will start something like this. I'm very excited today to share with you about the budget proposal for 2019. But before I show you that, I would like to share with you a clip. Open up the clip. Let the clip tell a story, then only move on. So these are 3 ways that I would choose. But what other ways? There are actually so many other ways to start. I just want to give you all these options that are available to you, and it's up to you to be creative in your own opening. One of the ways that I really like is to say this thing. I'm very excited today to share with you X, Y, and Z. I'm very excited. Do you know that in any corporate America or corporate organization, there's very little that someone will come up there and say, I'm very excited. But if you really look through when someone say, oh, you're very excited, even the boss look at you and say, oh, wow, oh, what is he excited about, you know? So people are interested to listen to what you want to say right after that. You know, not many people are very excited about presentation, correct or not? So when you say you are very excited, there's like something abnormal and they want to listen more. So I will start something like this, which is more casual, and this is how I usually start my presentation. I'm very excited to something, and then I will move on to the audience mind, to get to the audience mind, to build rapport with them, and my message will resonate with them. You can watch the video that I explain in depth about how to get in the mind of your audience. So the other thing you can do is the challenging statements. A challenging statement is like, do you know if this group of audience around here, then the group of audience, let's say is a woman, I would say that or group of audience are men. Do you know that women actually have a 76% higher IQ than men? And then some of the men was like very angry, right? They say, no way, men is have a higher IQ than the woman, not the woman having a higher IQ than the man. You know, something like this. But that statement itself is challenging. Challenging in the sense that, do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you really know? Or challenging statement is like, do you really know that women actually have a 76% higher IQ, or have a 3% higher IQ than men? You know, if the room is all men, then they will be challenged. So you want to have something statement like this. You can start with a famous quotation. For example, the according to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. That is the famous quotation. Then after that, you move on. You can do an illustration. There'll be a big promise. In this particular video, I will promise I will share with you how I make 4.6 million in 18 months without network, without marketing knowledge, without X, Y, and Z. That's a big promise, right? Provide a roadmap. You know, provide your audience with a roadmap. A video clip I mentioned just now. Start with an activity. Activity could be you invite someone else and do an activity with them first. Then only you move on to your presentation. You can come up with statistics. Do you know that according to a study by Robert and Marcus in 1962, that 72% of the reason why an employer hire an employee is because of their enthusiasm. That is the statistics. Okay, you can start with reciting a poem, sing a song, you know, make a joke, and start with a dialogue, which I mentioned with you just now earlier on sharing a story. So these are all other ways that you can use to actually begin a presentation. 13 other ways. With a bang. General outline is opening, body, conclusion. This is very simple. I think everyone knows this. The main point is when you have a main idea, you must always have a supporting material. So what are the supporting materials? For example, you have an idea of you know, of read about global warming. So you want to say what causes global warming might be your main idea, and how you want to overcome global warming is a second idea. But for your main idea, what causes global warming, you might have supporting material. The supporting material could be based on the research. For example, based on research by ABC magazine, it says something, you know, to support the main ideas. You want to have something to back up the main point. Okay, organize your body of your presentation. If it consists of statement of fact, it could be a statement of fact and proof of your presentation, and it could be a refutation of contrary view. So usually we'll share with you if you could limit your pointers to 3 pointers, but really depends on how long your presentation are. If you're doing a 1 hour presentation, you can limit to 3 points, you can limit to 5 points, depends on whether you have the time to actually cover it properly. The supporting materials could be a statistic, could be a research, could be your personal experience by sharing a stories of your past and what you want to do in the future as well. So these are the various techniques that you can use to actually support your main point. Okay, Three common mistakes in closing: introducing new material at the end of the speech. I'm not sure whether you have watched presenter do that. Many presenters that I have come across, they have said, "Oh, I have 3 points to share with you." They'll say point A, point B, point C at the end before they close. They say, "Actually, I have one more to add." Have you come across presenter like this? So if you have something like this, you do not want to to have a new material at the end of your speech, because it gave the audience an assumption that you are not prepared for your presentation. And this usually happen to those presenters who are more of an impromptu speakers, which means they used to speak off the cuff. And a lot of academic speakers, they are able to speak off the cuff, which is their talent. As I call them their talent. For me, I need to prepare myself. Unless I know my content very well, then I have least amount of I don't need to prepare so much. But most of the time, any new topic, I need to prepare myself thoroughly for me to deliver a good enough presentation. And it's really, if you it, the reason you have a new material is because the reason because presenter have a new material is because they did not plan their presentation well enough. They did not plan their opening and they did not plan their closing. That's why at the end they have something to add to it. So you do not want to have, oh, share three example, and at the end, oh, by the way, there's a fourth one bonus for you. Never say that. Okay. The other one is apologizing at the end. After you give a presentation, you say, "I'm so sorry. I know I didn't do a good presentation." No, don't do that. The audience will thank you for whatever you share, whether you do a good job or you do a bad job. It's okay. And audience are very accommodative. Okay. Avoid abrupt closing. If you plan, it won't be abrupt. 3 steps to end with a lasting impression. Summarize your point and conclude. This summarizing of a main point and conclude, you can summarize your point that you have mentioned, or you can actually rephrase and use a different word but to summarize the entire things. For example, in this session, I will share with you, for example, if I created a stories on eat healthily. So the first thing I say, drink more water. The other one I said eat more vegetables, and then the third one, eat more fruits. Okay, and I share with you all sorts of different things. Right, these are the 3 main points that I shared. So in conclusion, I will share with you. The other thing is have more liquid, drink more water, and have more liquid. It's almost the same meaning, but I rephrase it. So instead of using vegetable, I use the word have more leafy green leafy greens, instead of, or have more salads, something like that. I change the words. Instead of fruits, I say add more colors in your fruits, something like that. I change that word, that's the words, the same meaning, but I change it. So you can summarize your point as such, so that it doesn't look so how to say it. It doesn't sound the same, but it is the same. Correct, right? You can also end with a famous quotation, illustrate a story, and emphasize your point. I think this one I have explained it earlier in the opening of the speech. And this one is very key: a specific appeal for action. Most people will share and summarize their point, but there is no first step for the audience, or there's no action, there's no message that appeal and action. Because it's good to sit there and get inspired, but it is even better if you get them inspired and get them to the first action, get them to do something, persuade them for an action, persuade them a change of their thoughts, and then do something. A specific appeal for action is important at the end of your presentation. Okay, nothing presentation mapping. This is how I use to actually map out my ideas and my content in anything that I present. For example, we have a lot of looping ideas, and it makes sense because we don't know where to start, so we have a lot of ideas, and the ideas usually goes like here, there, bottom, down, so on and so forth. It goes everywhere. So the key here is put everything on paper. Come up with a piece of paper, any ideas, you just write, and then you do what I call chunking and deleting, which means if you come up with a lot of ideas, you want to sum the ideas that are same into together. For example, if you talk about healthy food, then you would probably have a lot of ideas on what are the healthy foods. So you say spinach, kale, broccoli, um, capsicum, uh, apple, orange, so on and so forth. So you would categorize all the vegetables in one group. You categorize all the all the all the fruits into one group, and so on and so forth. This is an example, but it could be ideas like, let's say on a proposal to increase the company income, to increase the company's profit. So how can you do that? First, increase your sales. You write down increase your sales, increase the number of customers. Very good. uh, Save on save on electricity, save on the water. These are the variables. So you can see water, electricities are under one, which is a utility, which is savings. The other one is making more income. The other thing is maybe do more marketing and so on. So you want to group it together. You understand? I think you get what I mean, right? Put everything down, everything that you can think of, brainstorm, and put everything down, and then only you split it and chunk it together. Then you create an outline. Work on the body, create an attention global, and that's exactly how you use to organize any presentation. For example, I'm coming up with a new course called productivity. So every time I have any idea of productivity, I will put it down on my phone and write it down to all the ideas that I have on productivity, how to increase the productivity. And these are really great ideas that I come across, for quite a while ago. And everything that I read, I think, hey, this one is applicable to increasing someone's productivity. I write it down. And then after that, I will group all the things that look similar into one chunk and one idea, one main point, and then the other one I will group it together in the second main point. So this is how my thought process of mapping your presentation. Brainstorming, delete those that are not relevant, group, chunk them together, and then create an outline and create an opening and ending. That's how you do a presentation. The key learning point is this: opening, body, and conclusion. Basically, these are all the things that I want to share with you to create a great opening. The main point I want to share with you is to don't use any of those generic openings such as good morning everyone, good morning ladies and gentlemen. I want to share with you today. Before I want to share with you, I would like to, before I would like to share with you, you're already talking already, so do not say this word before. Just go right into the main point and main stories and illustrate. That is how you create a bank in grabbing your audience attention. So that's very important. I wish you all the best, and I will share with you this story. I will share with you the story next. Thank you very much.